Most of us treat a disagreement like a physical struggle, assuming that every inch we gain must be taken directly from the person across from us. When we enter a negotiation, we usually fall back on a specific assumption. We believe we have to split the difference. We assume that if we don't get our way, and they don't get theirs, the 50-50 middle ground is the only fair outcome. Take the classic case of two children aggressively fighting over a single orange. A parent steps in to act as the referee, takes a knife, and cuts the fruit right down the middle, giving each child exactly half. It seems fair. But after the split, one child eats the fruit inside and throws away the peel. The other child takes their half, uses the peel to bake a cake, and throws the fruit into the trash. By blindly compromising, they both settled for half of what they actually needed. Above the water, you have positions, the specific, rigid demands people voice, like, I want the orange. That beneath the surface are interests, the practical reasons why they want it. If you only negotiate based on surface-level demands, you are fighting over a limited resource. But once you uncover the motives underneath, you can often find that your needs aren't actually in conflict at all. The most direct way to move past a standoff is to stop arguing your position and simply ask the other person why. When you demonstrate that you genuinely understand their perspective, they are far more likely to see you as a partner rather than an obstacle. Even with clear communication, personal stakes can make a dispute feel like a battle of wills. If you debate a rent increase with a landlord, the tension often stems from personal ego. You can bypass this by shifting the focus to fair standards, objective rules that exist outside of either person's opinion. This logic is built into the classic rule for sharing a cake. One person cuts the slices, but the other person chooses first. Because the cutter knows they will be left with whatever remains, they are forced to make the division perfectly equal to protect their own interest. To maintain this level of objectivity, you have to mentally separate the person across from you from the logistical problem you are trying to solve. The goal is to be soft on the person, validating their concerns and maintaining the relationship, while being hard on the problem itself. By pointing to external rules, like market prices or government regulations, you transform a hostile clash into a shared task, where both of you are looking at the same set of facts to find an answer. But how do you handle a situation where the other side refuses to be objective, uses pressure tactics, or intentionally misleads you? Many psychological tricks, like the good cop, bad cop routine, lose their power the moment they are acknowledged. Simply mentioning the tactic out loud, asking if they need a moment to get on the same page, often neutralizes the pressure instantly. If they transition to personal attacks or tear down your ideas, avoid the urge to defend yourself. Instead, use a technique called negotiation jujitsu. Ask for their advice. By asking, "What would you do in my position?" you force them to grapple with your constraints. When facing a much more powerful opponent, your protection comes from your BATNA, your best alternative to a negotiated agreement. A BATNA is a pre-calculated plan for what you'll do if no deal is reached. Knowing you have other options changes your posture. You aren't negotiating out of fear, but from a position of objective strength. Power in a room doesn't come from being the loudest person there. It comes from having alternatives and the discipline to sidestep personal attacks while keeping the focus on the actual problem. Internalizing this shift in perspective is best illustrated by a specific afternoon in London's Hyde Park in 1964. An American father and his 12-year-old son were throwing a plastic disc back and forth. Because frisbees were almost entirely unknown in England at the time, a small crowd gathered to watch this strange new activity. A local man watched them intently for 15 minutes. Finally, he approached and asked a question that perfectly captures our common misunderstanding of conflict. Who is winning? Asking who is winning a game of catch is as nonsensical as asking who is winning in a marriage or a long-term business partnership. If your goal is to beat the person you are talking to, you have already lost the opportunity to find a real solution. Tell us in the comments about a time you managed to turn a potential argument into a win-win situation, and subscribe for more deep dives into human psychology. Effective negotiation is the art of working together to keep the conversation in the air. It's about finding a way to keep both parties moving forward without letting the disc hit the ground.